What's up with it, everyone? El the Alchemist here with Celeste, Sexton, the best yoga instructor in all of Indiana. How are you doing this morning or afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing all right. No, doing really, really good. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and so it's probably my favorite day of the year. Not because it's like, you know, all like have to be about mom, but like you get to like unapologetically shut off the world, and so
Hmm.
I actually feel pretty damn good because I feel kind of refreshed from being able to turn the universe off and just focus in on two cute small little humans.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I was talking with my mom yesterday, and when it comes to society and what certain, there's National Pretzel Day, and then there's other things or whatever. But I was like, when it really comes down to it, the birthday, as well as a celebration of Father's Day and Mother's Day, and 4th of July too for this country or whatever. But it's like those are some really big holidays and stuff that I really appreciate more. It's not just something that's commercial. There's a good intent behind it, and taking that
Yeah,
time and appreciation for life and family members and stuff. Because I mean,
isn't
especially
that the truth?
yeah,
It's
like with the structural, the world, we don't have as much appreciation in that love, and I think we need that for sure.
Yeah, well, and it's so interesting because I do think that as you go through life and have these relationships with people, and some relationships with people do end up, splitting off and stuff like that. But it's the birthday and the Mother's Day and the Father's Day that, like, when you stop acknowledging those for people in your life, it's like, okay, that was the sever line. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I always I've felt that. I just some personal things in my life, and those are the three things that I'm always like, okay, I'm not. I still want to honor those people on that, even though things might not be okay with that person. It's something about just acknowledging certain people on those days that is a human. It's a human level thing.
Mm-hmm. And it
Yeah.
brings out that awareness to your appreciation. I mean, in all reality, like you can build trauma or get rid of trauma just by that relationship, with those close people in your family. And, that's when I think about just life in general, it's that eagle vision of what are the things that really matter in the long scheme of things and the relationships I want to keep versus what are the things that are just whatever, it's just a dust in the wind, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Right.
But so when it comes to yoga, I mean from all the different classes you teach, and I mean I'm gonna be there for the early one again. Like that
Yay.
that blew my mind. Like I've been doing half marathons and go to the gym for a few hours and I can go on a swim or a bike or whatever, but I mean that for 30 minutes in that class is hardcore. But when it comes to just yoga, like what gave you that spark on your adventure to dive down into it to be then become an instructor?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always loved movement. I started dancing at a really young age, and but I was never going to be like some prima ballerina. I'm not 5'8" and wafy. I am a strong human. And so I was also a gymnast for many years, and
Oh wow.
just you obviously most people grow out of those things. Your body changes
Mm,
as you get older, and it just does. It's not as feasible to do some of those things. So when I was in college, well, through high school and college, I cheered, and I really struggled in college with my weight. I never was what you would classify as like obese or anything like that, but I definitely just struggled to maintain a healthy weight, and I would go from like top level of what would be considered heavy to pretty small very quickly. So a lot of yo-yoing and that kind of stuff. And um, when um, when my husband and I, well, he wasn't my husband then, but my now husband, we lived overseas for a year, and that was kind of when I first started to have this realization that wow, the world is so much bigger than what I've ever been really exposed to. And one of the people that I nannied for, she had a yoga instructor come into her home. And I just thought that was like the craziest thing ever. Like, who has a yoga instructor come to their house? And I was never privy to the actual classes, but that's kind of just like what opened me up to this idea that, wow, like people utilize yoga teachers, yoga instructors as part of their general health, their general, I don't want to say as a part of their worldview, but what they have to offer, they look at something that is valuable enough to have as a part of their very consistent routine, whether they go somewhere or have someone come in. So to tie it all together, when we moved back from England, we moved to Fort Wayne. I am not from Fort Wayne, and I knew no one. And I was just going to this gym on like this it was American Fitness or American Health or something like that. And there was a woman there teaching yoga. And I went, and I just right away, it felt like the best fitting pair of jeans in the world. It just fit so well with what I enjoyed about movement. And what it allowed me to do was to, in a really safe way, finally have a relationship with my body that was healthy, that was positive, that was affirming. And through really a practice of yoga is where I consider like my adult life really just even beginning. So not only physically, which 100% started as physical. And I think for most people, when they come to yoga, it starts off as physical. And then you dive a little deeper, and you see that as you study Patanjali and the sutras and the Gita and a lot of other works that are associated with Hindu philosophy, which is tied into yoga. So I used to be shy about saying that, especially living in such a conservative state. But the truth of the matter is that yoga is an Indian practice, where Hindu is the main religion practiced in India, and there are ties to it. Doesn't mean that you have to be Hindu. It doesn't mean that you will become Hindu, but it is a part of the practice. And through that, though, I found a really healthy balance in body and mind. I'm still working constantly on it. I feel like I'm just constantly evolving in what I know about yoga, and what I thought I knew a lot of times ends up that I didn't know at all. All of that kind of stuff. But I don't know, that might have been a really meandering route.
No, that's perfect. That's actually perfect, because that evolves into another question, which was, like, what I found with yoga for myself, just like what you're saying, yes, there is the aspect for my physical health, but there is that spiritual aspect to it. And like for me, like Kundalini yoga, that's something I do just like when I can be by myself more and like focus on my breath work. And you can feel those energy centers inside of your body and be able to, honestly, like if you're doing a lot of like, just going back and forth doing that, in your breath work. And I mean, even in class, we breathe in through the left and exhale, breathe out through the right. Like there's so many energetic forms to it. And I didn't know, like at the end of class, Loka, Samista, Suki Nom, Bovantu. I love it, by the way, that you do that in class. And I didn't know if there's any spirituality practices you like to just kind of like work with, not to say you're Hindu or anything along those lines, or maybe possibly so, but like, is there anything like mantra or meditation or other spiritual practices you like to do with your yoga?
Yes. So short answer, yes. My mantras often do change based off of whatever it is that I'm going through in life. And having ritual is a huge part of my spiritual practice, because I have found for me that what I think it is about yoga that makes people kind of have that sensation, and that connection to the energy, to the nadis is what they're called, nadis. And there's like 17,000 nadis, energy centers in the body. It's insane. But it's the fact that your body, you're giving your body the opportunity to talk louder than the mind. And the body is really, can I say the F word?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
The body is really fucking smart. And our brain is constantly talking for the body. It's like siblings, right? And the older sibling always talking for the younger sibling. That's the brain and the body, right? The brain is always kind of talking for the body. And so any kind of movement we can do that can get us into the body is going to be in turn a spiritual practice. So, you know, ritual, waking up and having even just 5 minutes, a little routine that I have, just it turns the body on for the day. As far as, you know, spiritual practices outside of a little morning ritual, you know, I don't really, can I like kind of bunny trail here for a second?
For sure.
I grew up in a very evangelical Christian home. And I have no problem with any religion or anything like that. But there's definitely some trauma from that.
Yep.
So I steer away from anything that says that this is it. And anything that says that this is it, this is the way, immediately gives me a I need to turn around. Type of reaction, because I don't know how anyone. I mean, if you really are truly a spiritual person and you step outside in the universe, you immediately realize that you don't know shit. Like you know nothing. And so if someone is going to tell me that they know, I tend to get a little nervous.
No, for sure.
So, you know, that being said, a huge part of my, I would also add though, a huge part of my spiritual practice is being outside. Being around nature and grounding in any way I can, especially, I mean, it's so easy this time of year. It's a little bit more challenging in Indiana winters. However, we do the best we can. But, you know, as humans, we carry energy. Any living thing carries energy. So just holding a space of honoring every human, every plant, every blade of grass and its energy is a part of my spiritual practice as well.
It's, you know, that's beautiful, because I see that too, as the appreciation. I grew up in a hardcore Christian household, and then I even went down the path of, I thought about even becoming a priest, because I thought about exorcisms would be so great, but I always had this resentment towards myself and not loving myself fully, because I felt like I wasn't enough. And it's just like when you ask those questions, like, people are saying this is the truth, but then you look back into ancient history and the truth goes deeper down, and it comes around back to, for me, that intuition we hold within our heart. It's like a knowing, and knowing that we're more than just some random physical being that's just wandering. You know, we're very spiritual, and just like getting grounded, like, it's great to be able to go barefoot, go stand in the grass, let the sun hit you. And like going out in the forest and being in those energies, you do feel a difference in your own energy body. Like, you really do. There's a release. There's the grounding of not worried about all the extra, I would call it material illusion going on around us, you know? Like, we have constant black screens bombarding us, telling us, feel this way about these people, about this situation, or this religion saying, feel this way about this, and there's too much extra baggage with it. And I mean, with even yoga in my practice, it's helped me be able to break those barriers and knowing like there is more to the conscious myself, like, because as you're more grounded in your being, you see those omens, the synchronicities in our life, and the universe gives that to us and shows it to us. And being able to be more grounded with your body to break that limiting mind frame saying I can't do this, I can't do this. Now there are sometimes certain movements I know I'm gonna have to keep practicing to where I can eventually get them, like that one where you put your hands there and have your legs up. I don't even know if I'm even describing that right when you're upside down, but
arms and legs are always going somewhere.
Yeah, that's
sure. It could be anyone. It could be anyone.
But it's breaking those limitations, and that's what I find so just incredible about the whole process.
Oh,
and
it's amazing. I mean, it's the physical body is a giant jigsaw puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each piece does incredibly fit into the other piece. So there's this level of mechanics of the body with the yoga practice that we get to know as we continue with the physical asana practice. And then, as you said, it's the limitations of the brain, right? It's our brain that's limiting our body. It's not our body limiting our body. Now, barring injury, so on and so forth. But oftentimes it's the brain that's limiting the body. The brain is this amazing, incredible, I don't want to say machine, but the brain is amazing. However, I also think that we put a little bit too much stock in the brain and what we think is but I guess what I'm trying to say is, and it kind of going back to what you were saying about people telling you like you have to believe this, or so on and so forth. We're just a society that's filling our brain with like the absolute worst shit. I mean, just very little of what we're filling our brain with at this point is really worthwhile. I mean, people, I mean, we're getting a majority of our information off of social media, which any Dick, Jane, Joe, I mean, and someone could read what I say about World War II, and I by no means know hardly anything about World War II, but if they like what I say, they could be like, well, this expert that I read on social media said that this and this, and like, just absolute crap to be filling this brain with, right? But what and I kind of was I have gone again a little bit off track here.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Sorry, I was like, wait a second, where was I going with all that? But what the brain is magnificent, but we're filling it with a bunch of crap. And if only we took that's it. If only we took more opportunity to clear it. Because I think that a lot of times we replace, right? We have information. We're like, no, I just need to replace that with other information. But we're not going through a purification process. Like we go through this purification process of the body all the time, and with yoga. But what is the purification process that we're doing with our brain? And that sits in meditation, right? So how our brain limits the body is so true. And how can we then clear those limitations that the brain has created so that we can go forward and do amazing things?
Well, it's kind of like the whole, when you're thinking, you can think about certain, is this the answer, this the answer, but when you empty the cup and then you're just a vessel, the answer you will know. And it sounds so far-fetched to people who haven't went down that road of the sitting there in meditation, but that's really what it comes down to. Now, I can't say for certain, I know, but there are certain things that you just feel in your heart. And when you're calm with your outer being and you have that inner peace, the things can just come to you. And I do find that there's too much junk being bombarded and too much fear of people being afraid that they're not going to be able to have things. And if you just keep filling your cup up with that, well, that's what's going to be inside of your cup. And so it's very much common.
what is there other than fear and love? I've thought about this
Mm.
a lot. Like if you go into any emotion outside of fear or love, and you really like part down to its root, it will be fear or love. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's anxiety, fear, depression, fear, and could be love, happiness, love. Everything comes back to those two things, and that is the most primal of human, right? That lizard brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
The primal just got to like survive the fight or flight, so on and so forth. And we're 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 really what we're filling ourselves with now. And I say now, and like we'll watch our parents said now about our grandparents said now about our parents, and so on and so forth. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's always something that's polluting the generation after us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hate to sound like nowadays, but I do feel like social media is, I don't know why I'm on the social media kick right now, but social media really just fills the brain with this false information that constantly whispers, you're not good enough, you're
Mm.
not enough, you're not worthy. And so um, I would love to see more people coming to practices, whether they're yoga or walking or whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
losing any kind of digital, um, any sort of digital or what's the word, device or what have you, and you will feel so much more fulfilled from that work. Um, you could do the exact same work, something with digital and without digital, and if you can do it without the digital, you just feel so much more fulfillment. It's why I feel so strongly about people coming into a yoga studio situation instead of doing it on the computer or the TV,
Mm.
because that temptation is there to take in more from the digital world and not having that person to person interaction, that energy from
Mm-hmm.
other people in the room, so on and so forth.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Actually, so I have a course called the Blacklight Alchemy course, and one part in it, one of the pillars of the course talks about the getting yourself doing something physical. So whether that is going on a run, whether that's the gym, or whether that's yoga, getting yourself to get those natural endorphins. Because I honestly, I mean, from who I am now to where I was when I was 21 and having so many issues because I had no confidence in anything I did because I didn't go work out. I didn't get that dopamine. I didn't get that kick, that I think lots of people, they're looking for that kick on their phone, and it's a constant bombardment of, oh, am I good enough? Did I get enough likes? Oh, okay. And like, that's not fully gonna, here and there, it might give you some, oh, that's great. But if you're looking outside of yourself for that acknowledgement, that recognition, then you're going to be searching constantly and you're going to always be trying to get that next yes, that next love. But getting yourself out and getting those endorphins makes you love yourself more. And the community, like I have enjoyed so much your class, like to be able to go like on Mondays. This is my Sunday for my work week. This is like my last day off, and this is my favorite day of the entire week. And I'm
Oh,
not,
that makes me happy.
and like it's no bullshit. Like I love that class so much because I get my ass kicked. Like in all things when I do like in my life, I feel like I'm kicking its ass. But like when it comes to that class, especially now that I'm going to be doing the two all the time, I don't even want to go to the gym today till I go there. And another question, I mean, this just evolves
Hmm.
into the question. You teach multiple classes a day. You're a
Hmm.
mother of two. How do you do it? Like, is it sleep, tea, how you
No,
eat? Like,
my well, one, my husband is a rock star. He really is. I mean, our household. I'm so I am proud of this. My girls don't associate mom only with the vacuum cleaner. They know that
Mm.
dad vacuums too. You know,
Yeah.
it's really a joint effort because you cannot do it on your own, right? We all need help. We all need our village. Um, but I do. So that being said, I do like Mondays. I am really conscious, especially when I have to teach in the evening, like about not putting too much food in my body. I actually want to
Mm.
have a fairly clean vessel, so I eat very clean, but it's nothing heavy. No meat until after I'm done. So my dinner on Monday nights is kind of big and hearty and yummy, but during that entire day, I like to keep myself pretty not empty, a lot of fruit, some, like, I had a little bit of slaw left over from some fish tacos this weekend, but like just lighter meals until I'm done teaching for the day, because that
Mm.
gives me a lot more energy. I wouldn't recommend it for someone that has any kind of medical condition that would, that they would need more fuel than that. But
Mhm.
because again, it's that whole idea of taking only what you need. Sometimes I don't know if you've ever experienced this. Like, have you ever gotten too much sleep at night and you woke up the next day and you almost felt more tired?
Mhm.
Like that's kind of how it is for me in my days. Is I have to look at my day as a whole, and really it's a practice of taking only what I need to do
Mm.
those things, and I feel way better than if I, like, okay, I'm gonna eat a massive lunch and I'm gonna sleep until 10 because I have to work for 6 hours from 2 to 8.
Mhm.
It's about just taking what you need. But no, I feel fortunate that I have good. I'm going to be 40 next month. So I feel super good that I have good energy levels still. But
Mhm.
the bottom line is just a good partner and good fuel.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's something too that's fascinated me about this practice is I feel healthier now at just turning 30 than I have. I mean, from 18 to 21, I was just a fat apple. Honestly, I didn't do it. Walking up the stairs to go to a buffet was all the workouts I would do.
Yeah.
But
I can
I.
relate. I was there with you. I can relate.
Oh
I
God!
remember the all you can eat shrimp at Red Lobster, and like the goal was always 100. Like, trust me.
Oh my God! What's Golden Corral? Can I get the 10 plates? Oh my God! But that's the thing. There's this. I feel more life, like it from my energy to just like my back doesn't hurt. Like it blows my mind when there's someone that's like 20, 21, and then you'll see like a post on Facebook or whatever. My body feels like it's 85. I'm just like wondering to myself, what are you eating? And
Yeah.
usually it's junk, sugar, energy drinks, no sleep, up all
Yeah.
night, and people not being self-conscious, about what you put in the vessel, because you can't. If you put in bullshit, you're gonna have bullshit output.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, the sugar is huge. The sugar is huge. The added sugars. I mean, we eat now. I eat tons of fruit, but
Mm.
the added sugar is huge. I can eat very little added sugar anymore without it really impacting me. I have cut way back on alcohol. I never was like a huge drinker, but I don't drink during the week. I just it doesn't serve me. It doesn't,
Mm.
it doesn't make me feel good. I don't want to wake up and have even a little bit of a hangover. I want to wake up and feel good and ready to go for the day.
Mhm.
Um, but like we cram so much stuff into our days. And I think one of the best things that we can do for our energy levels is saying no a little bit more,
Mhm.
saying no to the things that aren't exactly necessary to have to do.
Mm.
Saying, you don't have to go to every single event or
Mm.
every holiday gathering or anything like that. Preserving your energy is such an important thing. And I don't know, it seems sometimes like it's a badge of honor to say my schedule is so full this week. I'm like,
Mhm.
why? why are you doing that to yourself? And I mean, I'm guilty. I have a very full, I mean, my some of my days are very much like to a T scheduled out, but you know, yesterday was a do nothing. Like we had no schedule, and it was one of the most energizing things to do, was to just have a day of no schedule whatsoever. So
And being there's like when people will try to keep themselves busy versus things that I want to do and enjoy doing, and I'm fine with doing that. I barely go out unless it's like a tronic, like something where I'm dancing. And I mean, I always the last time I went out dancing, this guy goes up to me and he stops me, and might I add, I'm just on water. I'm just a whacked out individual. Everyone thinks I'm on something, and I mean, I'm a whacked out individual, and I love it. And he was like, dude, you're the mushroom, man. And I was like, that's the greatest thing you could possibly say to me right now. Thank you. But like, it does take a lot for me to feel like, because we only have so much time and so much energy, just like you said, if you just keep running your battery out, then the moments that really do matter, it's hard to be present because you feel so burnt out.
Yeah.
And you're not able to be your 100% self. And things aren't as fun. If everything starts to feel like a chore, and we have to keep our time and ourselves in a sacred environment, at the end of the day. And if you don't have those, like I like what you're talking about, having your morning ritual. And I mean, I don't know how much you could see inside of this room. I got a couple altars. I mean, from radionics to different rituals or whatever the case may be. I just find anytime there's something internal that is just a struggle or whatever else, to sit through it, and whether it's burning a certain incense or doing a certain mantra over and over, like these are my Kali Ma beads, and anytime I just need to like destroy some image or self holding back blockage, just 108 repetitions of Kalima. And some people be like, that's evil. Oh, you're saying Kali. Well, it's like, look into her fucking history and quit pointing your finger at me and all that. So I do like all that and bringing that balance. I have one more question, and it is, there's all these different types. There's Hatha yoga, yin yang yoga, and then you have your hot flow yoga. Is there one that you really enjoy the most, or do you just enjoy all of them and making your own?
Yeah, I love all yoga. I really do. I mean, the different types of yoga, and there's this really cool book called Wanderlust. It's oh gosh, it's probably like 15, 20 years old now, but or midway through the book or so. No, it's at the beginning of the book, I think. There's like basically the family tree of yoga, and it goes through all the lineages of all the different types of yoga that we practice and where they came from. And I mean, there's tons and tons. And what we practice, like what I teach, it's not 5,000 years old. It's like maybe 100 years old at best case scenario. I mean, what I teach is very much influenced by the Ashtanga yoga practice, which Patabi Joyce started, or I hope that's correct, Patabi Joyce. Well, it really was started in Mysore, India, and its intention was to help boys get through the school day without fidgeting so much.
Wow.
So, the truth of the matter is, no one was doing Warrior 3 20,000 years ago. They just weren't. So I enjoy all of it, and I've evolved in that, because I used to be really snobby about yoga. I used to be very much like, well, that's not real yoga, or that's, anyone can teach that type of yoga. That's just like a script, and like they're just blah 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 or whatever. And I had this moment where I was, and I want to pinpoint that moment, and I don't know, I can't, but it's where I was like, man, you know what? Everyone should be doing yoga, any type of yoga. So if it takes these certain types of yoga that maybe I don't particularly enjoy, but someone else loves it. And if they're doing yoga and that's a part of their lifestyle, then I love that style of yoga because it's doing what I want yoga to do, which is reach every single person in some capacity. So, you know, I personally, like my personal practice is a little bit more regimented. It's not as like my yoga classes are very they're fun. Like I think they're fun. I try to make them fun. They always have kind of a sequence that takes us to a very specific place, whether it's a pose or energetically, or if we're doing full moon flows during the 3 days around the full moon and on the full moon. But my personal practice is more regimented, a little bit more in the line of classic Ashtanga yoga. But I love it all. Like I love a restorative class where I get to be bolstered. My husband calls it adult nap time. I love that class. I love all different types of yoga. I really have absolutely no issue. What I don't like is how certain people and I'm not talking even like in a local circle, there's been a lot of controversy in the world of yoga with the way that, for example, Bikram, you know, with allegations of sexual assault and using, I mean, there are a lot, I could name a lot of yogi people that would be considered leaders in the yoga world that have fallen prey to a lot of those issues. And I don't like that. And I even had a moment where I was like, gosh, am I actually contributing to the problem by even having a yoga studio? But you know, after having conversations with people, they assured me that no, that you're not contributing. If you're, you know, if you're pure in heart and you're saying like what these people have done is bad, you know, you're acknowledging that those things are bad. But no, the world of yoga has definitely become a very westernized thing. And there are parts of its westernization that I absolutely adore and love. There are things about its westernization that makes me sad. I feel super fortunate to have a teacher, Cheryl Oliver out of Arizona. She's one of only 25 Sanskrit scholars in the United States.
Wow.
And yeah, she's amazing. And she's actually coming back to the studio in September. But her knowledge of the language of Sanskrit alone has helped to shine a light on a lot of things about the yoga practice that me as an individual want to start practicing so that I'm not appropriating anything. So, you know, there are things that happen in yoga in general. It's no one's fault, right? We do the best we can, right? I'm doing the best I can. Leighton's doing the best he can. We're all doing the best we can. But there are things that we have just westernized about it. It is degrading kind of to those that this is truly their way of life. And then on that exact same token, though, there are people that have and live even in India and so on and so forth that have also degraded it, just like anything else, right? It's like the Catholic Church or any other, you know.
Exactly.
Like, it's everywhere and it's in everything. So yeah.
Well, for sure, and it does come down to, you're right. Until when it comes to anything, it is the intention. And you know, I've went to different yoga classes and checked out different things, but some things, like you said, some things were more commercial. But what I really, and like once again, I'm gonna nail it down. Everyone needs to go to Fusion Yoga and go to Celeste Sexton's class. Any of them. It doesn't matter. You go to the class, it's gonna be amazing. And there's no commerciality of it. It is. To me, I find it to be very, very sacred. Like when I went to Florida and did ayahuasca, it was a beautiful ceremony, and from the music and the feeling spiritually going through that process. When I go to your class, I feel that same resonance. And like,
Wow.
and it's really, to me, it touches the core of what the whole entire purpose of why to go there. It's for your body, it's for your mind, and it's for your spirit. And so
I mean, I wanna interview you on your ayahuasca experience.
oh yeah, we can make that happen for sure. Yeah, that was beautiful.
I bet. Did you go through? I have to know. Did you go through body purification beforehand?
Oh, like the weeks of, I actually have exactly that on my door over here on the diet. Oh, totally. It was, I'll give you a little thing about it. I did that, and that just changing my diet for a week. That first night arriving there, I had the worst migraine.
Oh, really?
It was horrible. I was like, I'll change my diet 1 week before. No big deal and all that whole thing. But it was such a beautiful experience, and I got to talk to my dad on the other side. And there was an experience sitting outside when we were doing it. I did it with Soul Quest, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just grounded with the ground there, and I'm tapped in with that. And when I see this squirrel come on by, and he's just like hanging above me, chilling, I just thought to myself, like, and I could feel this. You have just as much a right to be here. And when people say, oh, it's animal, it's just roadkill or X, Y, and Z, I mean, shit happens. But the appreciation and value of that being's life, as well as just like when you're saying, like, the blades of grass, the trees, I felt that to my eternal soul. And not only did I get peace from, like, my father passing and me able to talk to him and have that inner peace, but I also had that solidification of the Mother Gaia, her energy, and how everything encompasses the entire eternal being of us, as well as all the relationships and the people who we are in contact with. It was from there, like, that whole trip was a synchronicity. And even like 5 days after, I just kept having synchronicity. But we'll definitely have a podcast. I would love to have one.
You need to. Well, I'm curious because. So, did you watch the Michael Pollan documentary on the 4 drugs? Say it for me.
Psilocybin?
Thank you. Psilocybin, and he did peyote of ayahuasca. But did you see that?
I did not see that, huh?
Oh my gosh. Excellent. Highly recommend it. But anyways, on the psilocybin, the magic mushrooms one.
Yeah.
The magic mushrooms one. I really do want to do this in a controlled environment, much like you did with Soul Quest. And I'm leaning more towards doing the shroom one, but just hearing the stories of some of these people gave me such peace. Like this one guy was talking about how, because he dealt with like debilitating anxiety and so on and so forth, fear, again, lots of fear. And he said that the vision he had was of himself as a tree. And as that tree, he then saw himself walking with his family beside the tree. And I just thought that was so cool. Like, so peaceful. So, like, what an amazing connection to everything that he had to have experienced. And I was like, I want that. Like, I want to feel like I want to be a tree seeing myself walking by the tree.
Oh God, man, I can almost talk about what happened last night. We're gonna let's stay. Well, thank you so much. I'll stop the video and then I'll just talk to you for a minute after the podcast. But I just want to say once again, everyone, go to Fusion Yoga. I'm going to put the link down below. You are not going to be disappointed. And like, I 100% appreciate all that you do. And thank you for giving me your time to hop on here, Celeste. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Thanks, Leighton.
Thank you. Heck yeah, I'll see you tonight. Woo!
All right.